Hi everyone, Jester Bell is here to destroy all of your hopes and dreams. I apologize in advance. So, to start off, let's watch a little bit of this clip right here from Justice League Unlimited.
You remember what happened to your reputation when you were under Darkseid's control.
That was years ago.
People haven't forgotten the way you and the League have been acting lately. Look, I'm a reporter, not a public relations person, but with all the muscle you guys throw around, you're starting to scare me.
We got a lot of power, but we only use it to help.
Like when you and Captain Marvel wrecked Lexor City on national television?
We come on a little strong sometimes, but it's for the people's own good.
Now, this clip is actually very similar to this clip from James Gunn's Superman.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some might.
It's a lot of fire.
It's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your action. That's funny.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed. You consult with the president.
No. I wasn't representing anybody except for me.
The setup is very similar. It's that Superman and Lois are just supposed to be spending some time together, and Superman, in the midst of all of that, is under fire for his decision-making using his power. He's under fire from the public, under fire from the government, and in both scenes, Lois Lane is pushing the questions against Superman about exactly what he is doing and if it's the right thing. But you'll notice that Superman's demeanor is quite different in both clips. One in Justice League Limited, Superman is very firm in his stance on what he is doing. He does get a little bit hot under the collar, as you can see from this little animation of being questioned here, and you can tell that the frustration of everything that is happening to him is really brimming up, but he sort of stays with this maturity, that he has thought through his decisions, and that he wants to stay true to them. He is confident that he has made the right choices, even if a lot of people are lobbying against him right now. Now, Superman is a bit in the wrong in the video that we are seeing, the Justice League Unlimited clip. As we see during the show, he's kind of lost his way a little bit. He's kind of become too self-righteous, too assured of what he's doing here, and he goes on an arc in the show regarding that. But it is still a completely different demeanor from this in Superman, in the other clip, where Superman immediately gets very upset, loses his cool, and starts acting much more emotional. Now, we are going to break this down because this is a scene from the new Superman by James Gunn trailer that came out recently. When the trailer came out, I watched it, and I did enjoy that it started out with a clip actually seeing Superman talk, because that's what I've been waiting for this entire time. I want to see who Superman and Lois in this new universe are. Now, then the clip did not sit right with me, and I couldn't understand why. There were a couple things in the trailer that I kind of felt were maybe an improvement from the first one, like playing just the John Williams theme as it is, not with any sort of guitar riff or anything like that. But then there were other things that I really didn't enjoy. Like, I didn't enjoy how much of that new wide-angled, super wide-angled camera lens that they were using. There's some of the effects that really did not look good. A lot of this movie is shot weird. This movie has the same cinematographer as The Flash, and the last movie I want to be reminded of when going to a new DC movie is The Flash. But unfortunately, that is the look that they chose. They chose this movie is going to aesthetically remind you of The Flash. Okay, but interestingly, when the trailer was over, I just was kind of like, meh. I was kind of just really apathetic about it. I didn't really know how to feel, and I'm like, yeah, that was the new Superman trailer. It's coming out, and the thing that stuck with me, though, is like, Clark Kent didn't really feel like Clark Kent, did he? And I couldn't really articulate why or anything, but the next day, as different people have watched this trailer, I talked to Sister Bell, who's been on this channel before, about what she felt about the trailer. And Sister Bell is a bigger Superman fan than I am. She grew up with Smallville. And she said, flat out, she did not like this trailer, and one of the things she said was not only just that frumpy Lois Lane, which is something that I agree with, it is not because of Rachel Brosnahan, it is how she is dressed, how they've presented her in this movie. But she also said Clark Kent isn't giving Clark Kent, and I thought about that, and I agree. Now, to talk a little bit more about, I guess, like, everyone has their own perceptions of who Clark Kent and Superman should be, and that is why we get into so many arguments. For me, though, the consistent trait amongst Superman portrayals I get from him is that there's a maturity to him, a wisdom, and a conviction from him. Not that he is perfect, certainly not. We just talked about in that clip, he had lost his way a little bit. He had become a little too self-assured of himself in that clip. But in terms of the kind of traits that I don't think are Superman's flaws, is I don't think that he is super insecure. I don't think that he is childish in any way. Now, that is what I want to talk about in this Superman clip we got from the movie, is that my first thought before I could put it into words was, this is giving Zachary Levi Shazam. That is also not a thing that you want to give. Now, I'm thinking specifically of Zachary Levi in Fury of the Gods, where he's portraying an 18-year-old, but he was acting like he was a 5-year-old constantly, a grown man acting like a 5-year-old. Zachary Levi Shazam was marked by being constantly insecure about his decisions, but constantly needing to justify them to other people. And that's what I got from this scene. Now, let me, I know that I'm not making sense, but let me explain. If Superman was to be questioned by Lois, even if he was under a lot of pressure, a lot of people coming after him, the government, public, and they were in this conversation, I feel like if Lois Lane is starting to push the hard questions, Superman would be more like, Lois, what are you doing? And then if Lois continued to press him, I think that he would, cross his arms and be like, I know that a lot of people have a problem with how I handled this here, but I had to in order to save lives. I think that Superman would be a lot more mature, a lot more solid in his conviction, even if he didn't like being questioned. And even if this branched out into a huge conversation about that, which apparently it does in the movie. I think that even with Superman's frustrations, there would still be a maturity to him. And he's not teenage Superman here. He is grown Superman who is established in this universe. But instead, what we get from David Corenswet's Clark Kent is that he immediately goes on the defensive mode. Not even when Lois has opened her mouth. Like she says, you've been coming under a lot of fire lately. And he's like, like he immediately has to try to stop her from questioning him. He immediately has to shut it down, and then she has to calm him down to get back to the questions. And then it continues on, and it just becomes more and more emotional from him. Like, he's super insecure about his decision making, and so even getting this from Lois, he constantly goes on the defensive mode, but he himself is not confident in his decision making. What I'm getting at here is that I think that Superman is a character with a lot more wisdom and maturity than this. Like I said, I think that he would be a lot more measured in his response to Lois, even if it was frustrating him a bit. Not, this how you're gonna be? Like, that reminded me of Zachary Levi from Shazam. Or, people were in trouble. People were dying. I had to do something. Like, that is how Zachary Levi would play up Shazam, with a lot of, this how you're gonna be? Come on, man. I was just trying to save people. What do you want me to do? Like, it's a completely different demeanor for characters. One is more grown up. One is more mature. One is more masculine. The other is more childish. And that is what I feel with James Gunn's Superman so far. Now, before you all come at me, you could be saying, this is a scene taken out of context from a much longer scene. They could have taken these moments and it won't seem so bad all put together. I don't agree at this point. I don't think that Superman would be sounding like this, getting so upset at being questioned. I'm not getting Superman from it. And also, I want to say, for the rest of what we've seen from Superman so far, it's a little bit more of the same, where it's kind of like they're playing up the goofy aspects a lot. And I don't have a problem with doing a goofy Superman movie. The Christopher Reeve Superman movie was goofy. There's that callback to the Golden Age, but it doesn't feel like Golden Age superhero comic book goofiness. It feels like James Gunn's goofiness. I think, and I'm gonna get shot in the face for saying this, so far, I feel like Superman might be leaning more towards another man-child character. I know I'm gonna get shot. But listen, James Gunn, specialty is man-children in his movies. all of the male characters, with the exception of, I suppose, Groot, well, not even that, they are more of man-children characters. They're very immature male characters. So is Peacemaker. These are the kinds of characters that Gunn has gravitated towards. And I'm not saying at all that you can't do male characters who are super immature. Like, that's the entire point of the Guardians of the Galaxy and Peacemaker and pretty much every character that James Gunn has done. There's a marked immaturity to them, and that's what has worked for him. But this is my fear of what is happening with Superman, is that James Gunn is incapable of doing anything else. So when he's doing Superman, a character that, by the way, I covered this, he originally said the reason he didn't want to do Superman is he wasn't interested in him, and then he found a way in. He found a way to relate himself to the character. I'm worried that James Gunn's way of relating to Superman is to turn him into one of his characters, his more childish characters. And that is what I'm afraid of seeing this movie. And it's like, of course, I've already talked about before, and I'm just really tired of it. So many characters in movies, so many male characters go to like the man-child trope or the simpering trope or stuff like that. There are not a lot of masculine characters in today's movies, not the mainstream blockbusters at least. So when I say that, I think the traits of Superman is there's a wisdom to him, there's a maturity, and something that everyone can learn from, right? He's very measured in his decision making and the way he talks to people and all of that. Even in the goofier portrayals, like Lois and Clark on TV, there was that as well. I don't see him as at all overly emotional or childish or immature or insecure at all. I don't think that those are his flaws. But it's like, I ask for Superman to be a more masculine character in a positive sense, and it's like, are we really going to get that today? And if we are going to get that, are we going to get that from James Gunn, who has only ever done immature characters? And might I add, James Gunn is a very immature man himself. So the answer, I think, is perhaps no. But the more I see of this Superman movie, I'm like, even, like, I'm not a Snyder fan. I'm not a fan at all of what they did with the Snyder movies. That was the beginning of the end for it all. But I will never say that Henry Cavill didn't give Superman, even when they made decisions with his characterization that I disagreed with. It was always more Superman than this. This is not giving Superman. I am wondering in this movie if Superman is just going to end up being a self-insert for James Gunn, because we already know that Krypto is a self-insert for James Gunn's dog, but I'm wondering, with this movie being about a misinformation campaign against Superman, there's supposed to be an element of the internet coming involved, and, people's perceptions over, a public figure. I'm wondering how much of Superman is going to be a self-insert for James Gunn. But that's just how I feel about it. And, I'm talking to Sister Belle, who's much more of a Superman fan than I am. And, she is not digging this trailer. She is not saying that this gives Clark Kent in any way, shape, or form. And so, like I said, I'm just, like, other people are excited about this. Other people have a problem with this. There are many different reactions to this. I'm just at a point of apathy where I think the problem with this movie was what I felt in the beginning, that James Gunn is not fitting for a Superman movie. I'm looking at this trailer, and it's the same cinematographer as The Flash. They're using a lot of these weird, super wide-angled motions with it. A lot of the shots just look weird. I'm not really liking what I'm seeing from Superman. I'm not really liking what I'm seeing from Lois either. And I'm just reaching this point of apathy with superhero movies. And I am a superhero fan for life. But with the kind of movies that Hollywood is putting out and these companies, people were gaslighting me into Thunderbolts is this great movie. I took my dad to see Thunderbolts on the discount day just because he would not go on any other day but the discount day. And he loves the original Infinity Saga. I'm like, I want to see if I was wrong. Was I just watching this too harsh? And I was shocked. My dad hated the Thunderbolts. He thought it was as bad as Brave New World, and even I wouldn't go nearly that far. But, I think, and Thunderbolts didn't do well at the box office. I think that superheroes might have just, the audience might have just gotten burnt out from them. But Hollywood refuses to move on, and they're just clinging to this money train that they had before, and they think that they're going to earn it back. But, There's a lot of mixed responses to this Superman movie. I'm not sure if it's what they need to get people hyped again. And I'm just feeling like right now, like I was talking to my sister and she's like, I don't feel like jumping on board with another interconnected universe or Superman trilogy or anything right now. And that's kind of how I feel. So, like, I'll watch it. I'm not expecting much, but I'm just on the level that Hollywood needs to evolve a bit. They're not evolving the superhero genre. They're trying to go back to the same formulas over and over again. And the audience has moved on, but Hollywood refuses to move on. Not just with their movies, but just the superhero genre specifically. And I'm almost ready for the genre to have an old Yeller killing right now, so that it can stop milking it with all of these mediocre decisions. But that's all I got for you guys today. I know this will make people mad, but if you at least respect my opinion, let me know in the comments below. If you want to support my work, you can check out Patreon or memberships. Just $2.99 to sign up for memberships. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.